grounded theory. Agenda, Introduction, Objectives, Explanation of open, axial, and selective coding, Bibliography and references. Introduction. Grounded theory was developed by two sociologists Bernie Glaser and Ansel Strauss. Their collaboration in research on dying hospital patients led them to write the book Awareness of Dying. In this research, they developed the constant comparative method, later known as grounded theory. In grounded theory, we can use quantitative and qualitative data. Once we have gathered all the data, we analyze it in this order. First, we have to code. In this step, as you code, certain theoretical propositions will occur to you as the data collection and coding precedes the codes. In the second step, we have to memoing. This is the same as the actual code. Here, you group your memos like with like and sequence them in whatever order will make your theory clearest. In the last step, we have to sort. In here, the order of your sort memos provides you with the skeleton and many of the words of your thesis. Then, you begin writing. Objective. The primary purpose of this design strategy is to involve or ground a theory in the context in which the phenomenon under the study occurs. And that's how we are looking for a question to answer, starting by gathering data and finally get a report. Grounded theory creates meaning from data and represents the integration of a quantitative and qualitative perspective in thinking and action processes. Let's see an example. In the following example, you will see the analysis of 8 diaries that belong to 8 different teachers about a methodology suggested for a class. We will start by coding data, passing through Excel data, and finally we will see how to apply the selective data. Open coding. This is the first step. In here, we will code information through single words or prepositions that represents important data to have into account when we are going to compare several sources.
Well, in this step, we made a codification of the experiences that each teacher had in the classroom. For example, in the teacher's diary number 1, we evidenced the beginning of the activity that his methodology was not the most accurate to the age of the students. Also, the lack of knowledge of the English language by the teacher made him feel insecure. For this reason, there was no pedagogical coherence in the development of this class. Some quotes that we found in the journal of this teacher were the following: inappropriate pedagogical strategy, lack of planning, wrong teaching sequence, appropriate communication skill, relationship with the environment, expand your vocabulary, context, significant learning, didactic sequence, teamwork, reading and writing skills, creation, relationship, image and meaning relationship, appropriation of vocabulary, communicative skills, assertive strategy, language strengthening, relationship and comparison with the mother tongue. In the teacher's diary number 2, we find the following codes: teaching experience, motivations to students, class planning, pedagogical coherence, relevance in activities, motivation to students, memorization exercise, relationship with environment, playful pedagogical, strengthening orality, family relationship, spontaneity of children, among others. In this list of codes, we can see that there are blue codes that belong to the students, and those of the red codes belong the teachers. For example, didactic in class sessions is a code of teacher, and communicative skills, strengthened pronunciation and readiness are codes of students. It is important that the teacher has a good command of the language for the development of the class, because otherwise this planning will not be executed properly. Some codes are lack of English language, inappropriate pedagogical strategy, lack of planning, wrong teaching sequence, modifications in progress, apply relevant strategies, class participation, spontaneity in children. When the teacher executes the class but finds that the planning was not correct, it is necessary to make certain modifications during it to achieve the general objective of the class. This is evidenced in the following codes, for example, modification in progress and applied relevant strategies. In this case, it's very important that the teacher has knowledge of the English language to facilitate its teaching. However, the appropriate use of ICT resources can provide an approach and certain notions of the language. In this case, despite the lack of knowledge of the language, his pedagogical skills allow the development of the class session with positive results. The use of traditional pedagogical methodologies in conjunction with the use of ICT resources ensure that the students do not lose their enthusiasm for learning. Well, in this step, the Axial coding format was used to group the most relevant codes and thus be able to determine how they coincide in the teaching exercise of each teacher. We found 5 codes that relate to students and 5 codes that relate to teachers. Some of the most outstanding are: inappropriate pedagogical strategy, by not doing adequate planning, the objectives of the classes are not met, and lack of planning, improvising classes is evident when executing them. The next code is relate to students. Expand your vocabulary. Expand your vocabulary to improve communication skills in a second language. And the other code is a teamwork. It is important to the interactive with colleagues and strengthening social skills.
Finally, we have this step, selective coding. In this step, we make the skeleton classify the information from the actual coding and get a better visual of the thesis to start writing the conclusions.